Hi, I'm Jason Gorber for ThatShelf.com, and we're here to look at some headphones by the company called HEDD.
ThatShelf.
So when I got a chance to look at the FIIO M17, I have a video linked above, the fine folks at FIIO Canada actually sent me along a pair of headphones to actually try it with them. Now, my go-to are Sennheiser 800 series. That's what I do for over the year. I have a number of IEMs that actually try in and out. But I was sort of intrigued to see what sort of a whole new technology of headphone would be like. The HEDD series of headphones, they come in they're big, beefy phones, that's for sure. They're relatively comfortable. They sound great, but they use a unique technology. You can see on the side, it looks like sort of just a general speaker grill, but underneath you have these sort of louvers, sort of like Venetian blinds. And as you can see, as they fit, I mean, they look, patently ridiculous. But as you can see, as it says on the side of the giant box, or the back of the giant box, the world's first full-range air motion transformer, patented VVT technology, frequency response 10 hertz to 40 kilohertz, the impedance of 42 ohms, the SPL of 87 decibel per milliwatt, made in Germany. So God bless the Germans who have created a new form of this headphone that is using what it promises to be air motion transformer. And the deal is, instead of having a normal transducer, you basically have these sort of flappy kind of things that sort of drive the headphones in, that drive the sound in a way which is unique. Certainly a unique technology. Now, inside the box, we'll open it up. Obviously, you had the headphones, but you have, as you always do with these units, if I can get this open the correct way, you get a nice welcome sheet with Tech Talk. You get a replaceable cable. So the cable itself uses these sort of little clip-on mini XLR, essentially, into each ear pad, which is really nice and convenient and super secure. So the cable, when attaching mini XLR, make sure to push the metal connectors in. Fitting, you can adjust by changing position. Diaphragm crackling. The air motion transformer squeezes air out of multiple capped-on folds, again, like blinds, allowing to move air significantly faster than any traditional dynamic, planar, magnetic, or electrostatic driver. So that's what's promising. It's basically opening and closing these things faster than any other driver can actually move in and out. So hypothetically, they should sound better than anything. Due to this principle, you may sometimes notice quiet crackling sounds while adjusting the headphone to your ears. This happens when air pressure is applied to the diaphragm and does not affect the driver's performance. It's sort of like blowing on wrapping paper, and you're sort of hearing the wrapping paper go back and forth. The crackling won't appear when you have found your ideal listening position. In other words, when you're there and you're sort of adjusting it on your head, you do hear this sort of, but it's not like you're pushing onto a driver. Like, when you're a kid and you went over to that person's house and the tweeter was just sitting there and you just really want to push it in. Amplification and burn-in. We recommend a powerful desktop headphone amp or high-end stereo player for best listening experience. The headphone does not require a specific burn-in period. Well, we can debate about whether burn is important. Obviously, I was playing it with the M17, and these have been well burned in at any point. Safe and cleaning, blah, blah, blah. Please keep away ferromagnetic objects, such as small screws, and swap for the drivers. The magnetic field in the driver can pull objects into the folded diaphragm. So if you're sitting near a bunch of iron filings, don't be listening to these headphones. Do not expose to extreme temperature. Keep it dry at all times. Again, I talked about before taking the M17 to the beach. I don't think I'm taking these outside. Always keep electric equipment out of reach. And exchanging earpads is another problem. Reach to us for simple instructions. Enjoy your headphone. So Tech Talk, as I said, they're over the ear with air motion transformer and VVT technology. Sure. The efficiency, 87 watts. The connector, mini XLR. The weight, 718 grams. These are not tiny. And they have a 2-year warranty. Inside, obviously, where the headphones go, and inside the little box will be where the cables sort of live when they're not attached to the headphone. You have a sort of, sarcophagus for the thing where they sort of sit. Now, how do they sound? Sound good. Sound great. How do they feel? they're not the most comfortable in the world. They're certainly heavy. And even though you can sort of pull, you can see that you can adjust this much, and there's a bunch of padding here, and these are very robust in terms of padding. Even at its largest, it still feels, there's still enough tension on my big ass head that after a while, it didn't feel super spectacular. And again, as I'm adjusting it here, you hear this sort of, again, the only way that I can describe it is sort of like, maybe like a plastic water bottle. And you sort of squeeze it in and squeeze it out. It returns to its shape right away, unless you really crunch it. But especially if there's still water in it, you go, and it's sort of going in and out. That's sort of what you get as I'm sort of adjusting on this. I can hear this sort of, this sound taking place there as I adjust it. Once it's in place, it's totally fine. I'm finding it, again, just sitting here, sitting up with this is very top heavy. I'm sort of leaning over too much. I mean, if I sit back, it's much more comfortable. But just sitting here, even within a few seconds, I can certainly feel the weight. Now, that's part of the fun of this. We have a considerable amount of stuff in here in order to drive it the way that it drives. I'm not one of these people that has 8 million different kinds of headphones at the high end and can delineate. I mean, at some point in time, it just becomes, they just sound good, but different. I can say the same thing for a bunch of records behind me that I have exceptional versions. Can I choose one or the other? It sort of depends on the mood that I'm in at the time. I think that these are a really fascinating way of doing it. I really love the connectors, I got to say, especially compared to my Sennheisers that use their own proprietary. These are really nice and robust with the XLR. They're not going anywhere. The end of this is a regular 1/4 inch. Obviously, because it's mini XLR, you can get balanced options, which would be nice. This obviously was designed when it was sent to me to go with the M17, which has, if I remove the little plug, has an option for me to put in the 1/4 inch. And obviously this thing had no problem whatsoever driving it. Now what I did, again, if you watched my previous video, you know that I have an M15. I did try a 1/4 inch to mini jack adapter into here, and this did also an excellent job of actually driving these headphones at the volume, at sort of normal listening volume. I did find that I could maximize this and still have a little bit more, for lack of a better word, headroom on these. I have a feeling, especially with the M17, if I had the power input, which actually increases the output wattage on this, that these would be driven even more robustly for some more challenging tracks. But for the most part, I found the sound immersive, very accurate, very musical, nothing too harsh. The bass was there, but it wasn't so obnoxious. The mid-range was fine. The high-end was that. In other words, they're what you want from a really good pair of headphones. Now, the whole articulation, the whole notion of things working so fast so they don't get any smearing and stuff like that. I did listen to a bunch of jazz, which is the best way to do it, I guess. Listening to the transients, the sharp impacts of cymbals, but also the decay and kind of blues on an obvious example, if you actually hear the shimmer on that and to see how it actually plays out. They sounded wonderful. I then put on my Sennheisers and I thought, these sound wonderful too. They just sound wonderful in a different way. I think it's very much to do with your taste. There are some tracks, some days, some moments where I would absolutely reach for these. I've listened to very high-end headphones where you just put them on and you're like, these are not for me at all. Like, I don't like how they work. They're either too boomy or they're too even more uncomfortable than these. I could absolutely see these as another addition to a suite of headphones to give a different flavor, a different sense, extract different timbre out of music that you know very, very well. They're incredibly revealing. They're incredibly intimate in the way that they're actually structured. You're not going to make any neighbors particularly happy. I mean, it's one thing to have sort of open your headphones at the best of times when you have a regular driver. These basically everything that you're hearing going in, you're hearing going out as the loops go in and out. But yeah, they are very fascinating new technology that I think for some people they will find these incredibly satisfying, especially if you're listening to stuff with a lot of very quick attacks and decays, because the way they're constructed, they're actually allowing for your ability to actually get those elements out. as such, believe it or not, rather than stuff that's mostly organic, is some electronic stuff. I think it's actually going to sound better on these than almost anything, simply because you're going to get these sort of artificial, like a square wave, for example, some artificially up and down stuff that really no naturally produced instrument can make, but something you can make in a computer can play back on here, probably with despite being an analog, obviously, device, because the response of this is hypothetically much faster than any traditional driver. You're going to get a little bit more out of what's actually in the signal, which for some people is going to be absolutely what they would desire. For me, these wouldn't be necessarily my number one go-to headphones. Again, I'm kind of a sucker for the high-end Sennheiser sound. I know it's not for everyone's taste, but it definitely is for mine. It sort of speaks the way that I like to listen to stuff. But to have an opportunity to spend some time with high-end headphones that are not my own, to sort of live in another world with these was an absolute pleasure, and I was extremely happy to have them. So I would definitely give them a listen. The Heddphones, the Heddphones, as it were. Definitely a remarkable new technology. Newish technology, high-end developed out of this company from Germany. Give it a chance, as long as you have something that you actually have robust to drive them, something like, I don't know, a FIIO M17. Thanks so much for watching. Please let us know in the comments what you think of this whole crazy high-end headphone thing. Let us know in the comments what you think. Please subscribe, follow us on social media, do all the rest. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next video. All the best. Take care.